Hey everyone, welcome back to my Walt Disney World Lunchtime Live. We'll get started here in just a moment. So if you're joining us live, grab a lunch, say hi in the chat, let me know where you're watching from. And if you're watching the replay, I appreciate you checking it out. Feel free to drop your thoughts in the comments. I always go back post show and read through them. So don't hesitate to comment in. But like I said, we'll get started here in just a moment. I want to give people a chance to enter in and catch the entire show. So stick around here and we'll get started here in just a second or two. So last week we did a pretty deep dive into Walt Disney's dining, and the idea was to get through table service dining and quick service dining in one show. Unfortunately, we did run out of time, so I had to kind of pretty much leave off quick service dining completely, which so today we're going to start with that and finish up, pick up where we left off. Excuse me. So I know it's a lunchtime live chat. I actually just had mine, so still having a little leftover lunchtime issues. So let's pick up where we left off last week, talking about quick service dining. So quick service dining, and before we dive into too much, today's show is quick service dining, and then we're going to get into some Disney news that's coming out. We have updates on Test Track, the Starlight Parade. I do want to talk about the Walt Disney animatronic over at Disneyland. I know we're primarily a Walt Disney World show, but I got to talk about that. And then the news that just broke yesterday about the reimagining of Animation Courtyard at Hollywood Studios. So let's jump in. And like I said, we'll pick up where we left off with the quick service dining portion from our show last week. So what is quick service dining at Walt Disney World? So it's kind of in the name there. Quick service dining is Disney's version of fast food. So we're talking more of your American staples such as cheeseburgers, chicken tenders, pizzas, things like that. There's no reservations required with quick service dining. It's just order and eat. So it's pretty straightforward. You're going to find these spots in every park, every resort, down at Disney Springs. So, and we'll talk a little bit about the quick service dining plan. So what do you get with that? You get 2 quick service meals per day, plus a snack or a alcoholic beverage if you're of age. And then also the refillable resort mug that can be used just just used only at resorts. You cannot take those mugs into the park. But what's the benefits of quick service dining as opposed to having a full-on sit-down meal? And before we get into the pros and cons, if you have a favorite quick service restaurant that is your staple that you go to every single time you're at the parks, drop that down in the comments. Let me know what you guys like. So, and here in a moment, I'll go into a couple of my favorites from park to park. But the pros of quick service dining. Whoop, I just lost my notes there for a second. Pros of quick service dining. It obviously takes less time than a table service dining. So you can pick whenever you want to go, and your meal you don't have to wait for a waiter to come around, take your order, put the order in. So quick service dining is fast in that sense as well. So it will save you time. You do not have to make reservations for quick service dining. You can just show up whenever you want, pick your meal out, eat, and go. So like with table service dining, you have to book those in advance, a lot of the time 60 days into advance. You can also mobile order for quick service dining. So if you know what you want, you can put a mobile order in ahead of time and have it ready whenever you arrive at the restaurant. And we'll go into a little more of that here in just a moment or two. And it's great for picky eaters. So if you have kids that only do chicken nuggets, only do mac and cheese or French fries, a lot of the quick service options are going to be your go-to. It's also good for families on the go. If you like to be flexible and not be tied down with a schedule, then quick service might be the better option for you. So you're not tied in, okay, well, we have to eat at such and such place at 11:30 a.m. on, our Magic Kingdom day. You can kind of go with the flow a little bit more, but you are going to have, I don't want to say lower quality food, but you're going to have more basic options. On the flip side, some cons of quick service dining. A lot of times there's limited theming or atmosphere. And like I said, the menu is more basic compared to if you're sitting at a table service restaurant. If you're going during peak times at quick service, seating could be hard to find sometimes. So I know my last trip, I went to Cosmic Rays, and even though I put my mobile order in early, arrived right as my food was done, it was still hard to find a table. I had to find one outside, and it was hot outside. So, you kind of have to be flexible there as well. And the menus can feel kind of repetitive. So with a basic menu, you're going to find burgers at most quick service dining. You're going to find chicken tenders. Now, they will once in a while have a unique item at different quick service restaurants. It's not always the case, but some quick service will have that unique offering that they have. So, like I said, what are some of the more popular or well-known quick service options? At Magic Kingdom, you're talking about Cosmic Rays, Pecos Bill. Those Cosmic Rays is standard quick service. It's the basics. Pecos Bill leans a little more Tex-Mex. Casey's Corner on Main Street, if you want those giant hot dogs with a backdrop of Cinderella Castle, that's a pretty awesome spot. Columbia Harbor House over in Liberty Square. Now, that one's a little more low-key because it's not as big as some of the other ones. So you often find less weight and more seating there. Another one that I like is Pinocchio Village House. And you get those tables that can actually look down into the queue and the entrance of It's a Small World. So that one's pretty cool. At Epcot, one of my go-tos is the Regal Eagle. Good barbecue food, especially for a quick service option. What's the other ones? Connections Cafe. That one's a solid option up near the front of the park, right next to Guardians of the Galaxy. Good Lord. I had a brain fart there. Hollywood Studios. You have the ABC Commissary. Docking Bay 7. That one is cool if you're looking for something a little more unique. So that's back in Galaxy's Edge, and it is quick service, but it's some of your familiar foods dressed up to look like it comes from an alien planet. So while they still have some of the essentials, it's prepared and displayed uniquely. So that one, go there if you're looking for something a little more adventurous in your quick service meal. At Animal Kingdom, the Satuli Canteen is pretty good. I do love me some Flame Tree Barbecue. That one's always quite a hit with my family. I feel like I'm missing something else here. At resorts. So every resort on Disney property has some sort of quick service option. With the value resorts, that's your only option. They have a large food court type style dining area, but it's all quick service. Um, you also have a lot of quick service options down at Disney Springs as well. The chicken guy, my son's favorite is Deluxe Burger. That one is, I'm pretty partial to that one too. If you want a good burger, um, that is not like your basic quick service in the parks, that one's a good spot to go to. So a couple tips on quick service dining. In particular, we'll talk about mobile ordering. So mobile ordering gives you the option to place a order ahead of time and pick it up and select a time to pick it up. What I normally do is I will place the quick order or the mobile order while I'm still in line at an attraction. So, for instance, last time I was there, I'm waiting in line at Space Mountain, knowing that I'm going to go get some lunch afterwards. So I got onto the mobile ordering on the My Disney Experience app and found Cosmic Rays. And I was able to put my order in, pick out everything, and you can make customizations right in the mobile ordering and check out. And it will give you a couple options once you're done doing the order to either say, yes, I'm here, prepare my food, cancel, or change the time that you want to arrive. So once I place my mobile order, I leave it there. I go on the ride. And once I'm done on the ride, now, if you know the park pretty well, you can do this. I only recommend it if you're pretty smooth with your directions and whatnot. But as soon as I left Space Mountain and got over around like the lunching pad, I hit I'm here, prepare my order. So I know I'm 100 yards away. So by the time I got to Cosmic Rays and right as I'm ready to walk in the door, boom, it pops up on my phone. My food is prepared. Go to station number whatever. So it cuts down on a little bit more of the wait time as opposed to getting to the restaurant and then hitting I'm here, prepare my food, because then it takes another 5-10 minutes. If you know you're a few minutes away, you can hit that button, so your food will be ready as you get there. Again, only do this if you're pretty familiar with the parks and know about how far away you are from the restaurant. Another tip is avoid trying to go during peak hours. So if you're doing lunch, try to avoid that 12 to 1:30 range, because a lot of people are having the same idea. If you can, and I always say this, zig while everyone else zags. So if everyone's trying to get lunch between 12 and 1, order your lunch a little early at 11:30, or if you can get a later lunch around 2 o'clock. Do that, because while everyone's packed into these quick service restaurants, you can hit another attraction or two. And then when it's your turn to go eat, then there's usually more tables available. It's a little more open. So zig when everyone else zags. Try not to hit those peak times. And if you're feeling adventurous, look beyond the burgers and fries. Like I said, a lot of these quick service places have something unique. Check it out and see if you can find something new there. So that's going to wrap up our quick service portion of this. Again, we did not get to it last week. I do apologize for that. But again, if you're dropping in, if you're watching the replay, let me know which quick service is your favorite and why. So, but now it's time to move on to some news and notes from around, normally I'd say Walt Disney World, but around the Walt Disney theme parks, because we have one in here that is not Disney World specific. So let's start with Test Track. So Test Track has been down for, it feels like forever now. As of yesterday, they have completely opened Test Track. There was a soft opening for a couple of days, but it is now open and ready to go. There has been a complete retheme with some futuristic visuals, a bunch more neon lighting, and a little bit of a throwback to the world of motion. We have a updated soundtrack, so new tunnel effects, a little bit more smoother storytelling. Here's the big one though. Since it's reopening, there's no virtual queue. I know Disney does love that virtual queue when something new comes out, but I think because Test Track was already in existence, it just kind of got a retheme. That was the decision why we got no virtual queue with this one. So it is just standby or lightning lane. But with that, the wait times for Test Track have gone through the roof. So if you are going to Disney in the next couple of days, couple of weeks, expect some really long wait times for Test Track. They have already spiked up over 120 minutes, sometimes hitting as high as 150 minutes. So unless you're doing a lightning lane, know what you're getting into before you go. You could be waiting 2.5 hours to ride Test Track. Now, on the flip side of that, cause and effect, right? So with Test Track, everyone flocking there, you will start to see some of the other rides queues drop. So yesterday, I know at some points throughout the day, Guardians was down to around 60 minutes when it can usually get up to 80, sometimes 90 minutes. So Test Track is drawing people away from Guardians, away from Remy, away from Frozen. Now, the nice thing is, if you give it a couple of months, all of these are going to start to balance out, and you should see lower wait times across all of the headliners at Epcot, just because there's more options available. So, stay tuned, keep an eye out for that. But if you're going in the short term, be ready for some heavy wait times going into Test Track. Next up on our news and notes, the new Disney Nighttime Parade is going through its soft open. It actually premiered a couple of days ago. So what is the Starlight Evening Parade? So this is Disney's first Magic Kingdom evening parade in almost a decade. Think back to Spectrum Magic. That was, when I was growing up, that was one of my best memories of Magic Kingdom. So I'm super glad to see that they brought a nighttime parade back. The cool thing is, just like in years past, they do offer 2 evening parades. So you have one at 9 and also at 11 p.m. So you have 2 chances to check out the evening parade. And usually the fireworks will be sandwiched in between those. Now, one note, this, especially now that we're getting into the end of July and August is right around the corner, and August starts the season of Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Parade or Halloween Party. The Starlight Parade will run on non-party nights. So if you have a Halloween party, or getting into November, if you have the Christmas party, those parades will run that night and the Starlight Parade will not run. But so what's new and what's different with this? They've updated, obviously, Spectrum Magic and whatnot was a different era in technology. So now everything is done up more in LEDs. You obviously have a lot more characters to add in. The floats are GPS synced so that the music and visuals stay in sync the entire time along the parade route. So that is a pretty cool addition. The floats, we have floats. The parade is, the story behind the parade is the Blue Fairy. Her magic created the parade now, so she'll lead the way, but you'll have floats with Miguel, Tiana, Baymax, Frozen. There's a whole bunch of different characters. So think along the lines of the Festival Fantasy Parade, but at night with characters all done up with a lot of lights and lasers and the LEDs. It's going to be amazing. So it's pretty cool, like I said, to see that come back after a decade of not having any kind of nighttime parade. Next thing that we just got recently is news that Rock and Roller Coaster is going to stay open as is through the end of the year, and then will be rethemed starting next year. So you still have a few more months to get on Rock and Roller Coaster while it is still themed to Aerosmith. So if you have a trip planned the rest of this year, make sure you put that on your bucket list before the Aerosmith portion goes away. And next year we are transitioning to Muppets. And I got to say, I had mixed feelings about this when I first heard about it. Because, I remember when this was still new, like in Aerosmith just became a staple of Rock and Roller Coaster. And to take them out, like, obviously, like, I don't know. Like I said, I had mixed feelings about it. At first, I was upset. And then the more I started to think about it, the more I kind of got into the idea, because the way they're advertising it is that it's going to be Muppets featuring other musical acts. So I'm thinking, or I'm hoping, what I think would be really cool, and time will tell if I'm right or not. I think it'd be really cool if it's more along the lines of Guardians of the Galaxy. So each time you ride it, you may get a different audio track from a different band. So that's what I'm hoping happens. Again, time will tell, but I think that would be an awesome way. And you can even maybe still have an Aerosmith track, but if you have different bands, different music, so that each time you ride it could be a different version of the ride. Because I know, like with Guardians, depending on what song you get, the ride feels completely different. So, you get Disco Inferno, that's got a different vibe as opposed to if you get I Ran by Flock of Seagulls. So, depending on the music, depends on how the ride feels. So that would, I think, and I hope and I pray that's how Disney does, including the Muppets with, other musical acts. So I'm kind of getting off on a tangent here. But again, so Rock and Roller Coaster open as is till the end of the year, and then it will close down to get rethemed into including the Muppets. Next on our list, speaking of things I don't know how I feel about, we got our first visuals and our first video of the new Walt Disney animatronic previewing at the Magical Life show at Disneyland. So it debuted about a week ago, and so there's a couple of things. It's the first animatronic to be able to fully stand and sit mid-show. So that is a technical wonder. I know some of the Disney family people were not thrilled about it. Imagineers are on the other side. But have you taken a look at the animatronic? This is where I'm personally torn. I am a huge fan of the man Walt Disney and what he was able to bring to the world, not only with the company and the motion pictures, but setting the stage for Disneyland and, creating, or, almost being around for the debut of Disney World. What is going on with this animatronic? I can't see it. I can't see the resemblance. I think the head is too blocky. The eyebrows a little too bushy. It just doesn't feel like Walt to me, and that kind of hurts being a fan. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this was your creator. This is the guy that brought everything together, and you had one job: nail that animatronic. And I feel like it just missed the mark. the bar, they set the bar high for themselves by attempting to do this, and I feel like they haven't hit that bar. So I hope that sometime in the future they maybe redo it, replace the head, please. That's what I'm asking. Um, make it a little bit thinner, a little bit longer. You got to do something with it. But let me know what you think about it. You guys like the animatronic? Or do you feel like I do, that maybe it's just missed the mark a little bit? Let me know what you think. But let's go on to our last one here. I know we're starting to run out of time. Got just a couple minutes left, but just announced yesterday, Disney is closing the Star Wars launch bay in the animation courtyard section of Hollywood Studios. In this, when I heard the news at first, I was kind of torn because I'm a huge Star Wars fan. And I love the meet and greets there. So you got to see characters that you don't get to see back in Galaxy's Edge because they don't fit the timeline. So not only that, but there was a lot of cool models and things to see in there that you don't normally get to see in other areas. But at the same time, this was a product of a bygone era. This was before Disney bought Lucasfilm, before Galaxy's Edge. So they had to have a Star Wars area because they still had a partnership with Lucasfilm. But once Galaxy's Edge opened, now you have you had three distinct areas throughout Hollywood Studios for Star Wars. You had Galaxy's Edge, you had the Star Wars or Star Tours attraction over by the Backlot Express, and then you had the Star Wars launch bay area. So I do agree that it's okay to close that down. I just hope that they are able to work those characters in a different area, take the stuff that's in there and move it somewhere else. But what I do really like about what they're doing is bringing animation back to Animation Courtyard. So I am excited to see the new area. And we're getting the iconic sorcerer's hat back. And I know some of y'all loved it back in the day. Some of y'all hated it when it was the icon in the middle of the park. This is not going to be like that. So the facade and everything's going to be modeled after the animation studios in Burbank, which also features the sorcerer's hat. So it's just right to bring that over and make that part of this new facade. So what's going in it? It's the Magic of Disney animation, and it's going to be opening next year. The new area is not going to be the Animation Courtyard anymore. It's going to be the Walt Disney Studios lot. And like I said, it's going to be themed to the actual real Burbank studio. So I like that I feel like it's kind of getting back to the roots of, oh Lord, I just almost called it MGM. I'm dating myself, but that's okay. So we're going to have some character greetings in there. You're going to have some interactive drawing classes, which again, that harkens back to the opening days when it was MGM. There's an indoor play area. Again, they're redesigning the courtyard. The center of the building is the sorcerer hat. So I'm pretty excited about this. And it's a big upgrade for an area that's kind of felt like lifeless and listless. Yes, I know you have the Disney Junior stage show, but on the opposite side of that, you had the Little Mermaid show, which again was closed down for so long. So now that it's back, you still have the Disney Junior, in which that will actually close down for a little bit while they're reimagining the courtyard area. But it's going to make it it's going to make the area just come to life again. Now, I do recall seeing somewhere that they are taking down the Hollywood Studios archway, which is the entrance to that area. Not sure how I feel about that. I would have to double check to see if that actually is the case. But if they do, I mean, it will open the area up, but I don't know, the arch is kind of iconic to me. So we'll dig in and see what's going on there. But let me know So we've gone over a couple things as far as the news and notes, the reopening of Test Track, the new nighttime parade at Magic Kingdom, the retheming or the delayed retheming of Aerosmith's Rock and Roller Coaster, the Walt Disney animatronic, and now the new news about the reanimation retheming of Animation Courtyard. So what are you guys most excited about, or what are you least excited about? So let me know. Again, you can drop it in the chat, or again, if you're watching the replay, drop a comment in there. But that's about going to wrap up everything for today. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me, eating lunch with me. But if you like this kind of stuff, if you're enjoying the lunchtime lives, give the channel a thumbs up, hit subscribe, so that way we can keep this thing going. But we'll see you next week for another Walt Disney World Lunchtime live chat. Until then, again, thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you real soon.